It actually happened. Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. What the heck are the Cowboys thinking? Can they come out of this okay? And how good now are the Packers? Are they the favorite in the NFC? All that and more coming up on today's Peacock and Williamson.
NFL analyst Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson bring you expert NFL analysis every day in less than 30 minutes. Get an inside look at the NFL on the field and in the front office with elite breakdowns to next-level analysis and in-depth information only for the real NFL fans. This is Peacock and Williamson, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show. Brian Peacock alongside Matt Williamson at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Love our everydayers. Thanks for hanging with us. We're almost there. And, man, a big one today. Less than a week now from the kickoff of the NFL season that involves those Dallas Cowboys. We have a massive one and just about the biggest trade that can happen in the NFL with Micah Parsons going from Dallas to Green Bay. So that's going to be most of today's program. And if you are new to the program, thanks for stopping by. Please consider hitting that subscribe button. And I know a lot of everydayers still aren't even subbed up. So what are we doing here? Let's subscribe on YouTube or wherever you are listening to this podcast and get going with a fantastic 2025 NFL season. Matt, it actually happened. We had a podcast yesterday where we talked a great deal about, what's going on, how this can happen, what to expect with Micah Parsons. There's rumors out there. By the way, the fake insiders are winning the war.
That's the best part.
Yeah. the dude Ricky with the dog avatar and the boob dog, they're nailing it. Like they
know their stuff, man.
Yeah. We didn't hear
you brought that up yesterday. I was chuckling and I'm like, and then like an hour after we hit record, it was done deal, whatever. Yeah. And
unbelievable stuff.
People know some stuff.
We talked through it. Essentially, we talked through it. And it's interesting because we kind of talked through the whole thing and the rumor and specifically with the Green Bay Packers, because that was where some of the smoke was coming from. Mm-hmm. And in the end, we came to the conclusion of course, the Cowboys aren't that insane and that they're not going to trade Micah Parsons. And whether he plays on the 5th-year option or he does a mega deal with the Cowboys, that's not going to happen. And guess what? It actually did happen, Matt. So let's start with the Dallas side of things, trying to figure this out. Jerry Jones says they're going to be better long-term without Micah Parsons because they did this contract. Can you talk yourself into any angle that this makes sense for the Dallas Cowboys right now, that this was a good move from the Dallas Cowboys? Because overwhelming sentiment is that the Dallas Cowboys screwed this thing up.
Well, I don't think I'm going to get any argument. He's the most valuable defensive player walking the planet right now. When you account for age, versatility, body of work, where he's at. And an underreported story last year was because Dallas was so far out of things when he came back from injury. I thought he played the best of his career and nobody even noticed because they weren't important. Dak was hurt, blah, blah, blah. I thought he was the best defensive player going at that point. End of last year. So he might even be getting better, which is insane to me. So I actually presented this exact same argument with Wig on Locked On NFL today, saying I like to look at these things like lawyers, on both sides. Okay, defend the Cowboys or prosecute the Cowboys. Could you make both cases? And my only real defense for the Cowboys was, okay, maybe I'm not married to Dak. I got a new coach. It's a new leaf being turned over. We're going to have 4 first-round picks in the next 2 rounds of the next 2 drafts. Maybe we can parlay that into a superstar young quarterback. And, oh, by the way, Kenny Clark isn't a bad player. I mean, he's a good player. And the defensive tackle has been terrible for them. They're getting gashed up the middle like crazy, and Mazzie Smith's a bust. But it's still a tough argument to make. You know what I mean? If they go 6-11 this year, which there's no argument to be made that they're better this year. And I know the Cowboys are even spinning that. Like you're not better this year. I was considering picking them for playoffs. Now I can't even consider it. So if they go 6-10, end up with an early pick, and then you get the Packers 25th or 28th or 32nd pick, maybe you turn that into a quarterback and what looks like a quarterback-rich draft, trade Dak to the Steelers or somebody and get more picks, and then all of a sudden, it's like the Herschel Walker trade,
I see where we're going here. Matt's just trying to get a quarterback in Dak Prescott. They just signed Dak, so that would be like an insane cap hit if they traded Dak within the next year still, I think, right?
Like, I don't think this is the Herschel Walker trade. And I brought it up the last couple of days. I've been watching this Jerry Jones Cowboys Netflix series every night with like Michael Irvin and all that at that time. And this is not the same thing. This is not sell your only piece that matters and go build an O-line out of it.
Definitely not the Herschel Walker trade, because first of all, Herschel Walker was a running back that was 30 years old at the time of the trade.
Yeah.
Ready to break down. Micah Parsons, as you just mentioned, getting better, and he should be because he's only 26 years old at the second most important position in the game. And so I put the tweet out there, and I got some pushback that no singular player in the NFL that could be traded right now today would change the tide more than Micah Parsons, except for 4 AFC quarterbacks. And we know who those guys are: Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. The next most impactful guy that could be traded is Micah Parsons. And we just saw that. This is the biggest move that could have possibly happened in the entire NFL, because we know those moves would not even be possible to happen.
I'm sure some people said, well, what about Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson? Or
I had one guy say, Baker Mayfield would be.
I was just saying, I mean, maybe Jaden Daniels, or you could convince me maybe on a Stroud or somebody like that, just because they're quarterbacks, but not the receivers. I mean, and he's definitely the defensive player. I don't even know who the second highest impactful defensive player could be to change the tides in the league.
It would be like Myles Garrett, but again, Myles Garrett is 5 years older.
That's the thing. Maybe Myles Garrett's a better player today. Maybe.
Yeah.
But he won't be in 2 years.
So for the Dallas Cowboys perspective, I hate the move. I think Jerry Jones tries to put out the vibe that, he won't be bullied. But in the end, I think he got bullied because he was the one that was forced to do the bad thing, and everybody else got what they wanted. Right?
Yes.
And so I don't buy that at all. I don't think Jerry Jones is having a bad day. I think Cowboys fans are having a bad day. Jerry Jones, there was a Forbes article, I think yesterday or the day before, that showed that the Dallas Cowboys have the most valuable franchise in the NFL at $13 billion. So Jerry Jones, that's kind of his angle, is like, when you ever go to a rich guy's yard sale and he's got like a Scotty I don't know if you're a golfer, Matt, but he's got a Scotty Cameron putter that costs $300. And you're like, I'll give you 40 for it. And he's like, yeah, what do I care? Here.
But
he's a rich guy. He doesn't care. He's got
that's the thing.
He bought this expensive putter. Like, that's kind of where Jerry Jones is, I think, in all this. Now, for Cowboys fans, they're the ones that are the big losers here. Jerry Jones is fine. He owns the Cowboys, and whatever. They might stink more, and this might look really bad and tarnish his image further, but I don't think he cares about that. And he's laughing all the way to the bank.
I 100% agree. And watching this documentary on Netflix makes me even think more so, because going back to like his conflict with Jimmy Johnson and going and getting Dion. I mean, it was, yes, it was about winning, but it was also about Jerry making Jerry happy, which he's allowed to do. It's his franchise. I mean, that's not illegal. That's not even backhanded, but in the process, I mean, he many times through that documentary, he infers, as long as people are talking about the Cowboys, the value of the Cowboys goes up, there's no bad pub in Jerry's mind. And now he's older, probably not as sharp. I mean, I think that's safe to say from the neck up. And who's going to tell him no? I mean, he's a GM of his team too, which makes things weird.
Yeah. He's the owner, GM. You can't fire Jerry Jones. He's 82 years old. And so that's just the way things are going to go. And maybe this goes the way of the late Al Davis Raiders, which obviously on the field
feels that way.
But that's, it's his team. He owns it. It's his toy. He can do whatever he wants with it. And so Cowboys fans are going to have to suffer through it. That's just where we're at.
That's where we're at. And they're kind of a tough team to root for right now. And they do win a lot of games. And I mean, Jerry has to look Dak and CD in the face now. But does he care? Or should he care? I mean, do I care if he cares? Who cares if he cares? I mean, what's it?
He doesn't care who's on the poster today, because there's going to be a different poster in a few years with different faces on it. Right?
Yeah,
that's the way Jerry looks at this thing. So they don't run it. Jerry runs it. They don't run it. And I think that statement was made. But on the field, the product got worse. If the goal for Jerry Jones was to go win a Lombardi, he got further away from it.
100%.
If he cares about that, then he did lose on this, but I have a feeling that's not been at the front of his mind for a while.
I don't either. And Wig brought this up, and I thought it was really noteworthy too, and I don't quite understand the details, but it sounds like they tried, the Joneses tried to circumvent the agent too.
Yeah, that's a big part of this, and there's definitely some bad blood, and some people can't, the negotiation process can really screw some things up. And there was a report that it was $40 million a year, and we'll see if the actual real number of $47 million and $180 million guaranteed or $120 million guaranteed, whatever it was, is the real stuff, because we know the first number the agents put out there isn't right. So I'm guessing the Packers didn't even quite pay as much as those first initial figures that were put out there. We'll find out more on that later. Next, I want to talk a little bit more about Dallas, how this could turn out for Dallas, good and bad. And then now, how good are the Green Bay Packers? Should they be the favorite in the NFC? Next. This episode of Peacock and Williamson brought to you by Upside. Are you guys still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use our limited time promo code Touchdown and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You could make up to $300 in just a year just from buying the gas that you already need and you already buy. At first, I thought it was too good to be true. I've had the Upside app, by the way, for years. They've been sponsoring the Locked On Network for a long time, and it's totally legit. You go to the gas pump and you pay, and you look on the app and you find out where you're getting money back to buy gas, and you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. So don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using our limited time promo code Touchdown for a limited time 25% per gallon bonus on that first fill up. That's promo code Touchdown. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. With NFL season back, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, it can be frustrating. That's why I use Gametime. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you are a sports fan, you ever think about buying tickets for sporting events, whether it's NFL games, college football games, baseball games, basketball games, hockey, or you ever want to go to a concert or a comedy show or go to a theater event, you got to have Gametime in your pocket ready to go. The app gives you the advantage and gives the advantage back to fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. Phenomenal deals on last-minute tickets. You always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. All right, so let's look at how things could go good for the Dallas Cowboys before we crush them one more time and how it could go bad. How it goes good for the Cowboys is Micah Parsons wasn't worth the contract. You get 2 first-round picks. Micah Parsons hamstrings the Green Bay Packers salary cap and spending, and he's not as impactful as they thought. The Packers don't win a lot more games or any more games, maybe get marginally better, and the Dallas Cowboys hit on those extra first-round picks and parlay those into more young, cost-controlled talent. That's obviously the path and the only path for this looking really good for the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah. You brought up the Herschel Walker trade, and I don't think it's even nearly a comparison because of what the trade was, who the players were, and how things went. But I've heard people say, okay, well, this is the Khalil Mack trade because
that's more realistic
because of the player, who he was at the time, and the Green Bay Packers could easily just not win a lot of games like the Chicago Bears did after they traded him. But I look at the Khalil Mack trade, and by the way, I don't think it's the Khalil Mack trade quite either. There's a couple other ones I have in mind. The Khalil Mack trade, first of all, the Bears quarterback was Mitch Trubisky. So,
right.
And he still won 12 games, by the way, that first
year.
Yeah. Mack. That's a big issue for me. I think that Jordan Love is much better, and the Packers are more well coached and just have a better roster top to bottom than those 2018 Bears did. So I don't think that's a good
way better infrastructure.
Right. Yes. And guess what? The Raiders screwed the whole thing up and didn't get any value because they drafted a whole bunch of bad players. So it didn't matter.
That's the thing. Look at the Raiders drafts from those years. They traded like Amari Cooper and Mack, and they missed on everybody.
Yeah. They got Damon Arnett or Cleveland Farrell and
like the biggest busts of the last 10 years.
Like, yeah.
Over and over. Right.
Yeah. So even if you got the financial part right and it doesn't help the Packers, you still got to stick the landing on the draft picks part.
Yeah. And can't be the worst drafting team in recent memory.
And history tells us with those two picks that are probably later first round picks, you're not going to get anywhere near the talent of Micah Parsons when you combine those two draft picks. So.
And now I've heard people say Parsons was a mid first round pick. That was also a weird year where he didn't play the year before because of COVID, and the draft was loaded.
It was a stacked draft. And
people thought he might be a linebacker.
He was drafted as an off-ball linebacker.
Yeah.
He's a crazy athlete, but off-ball backer, is he instinctive enough? Is he that sort of a player? And that was the question with him coming out. But you had to draft him at that point because he was the last blue chip guy left, and there was about 12.
And he hadn't played in a year.
Big time players, right? So just a weird year and weird draft for him to be available. If he had just been a pass rusher in college, he would have been a top 4 pick in the draft.
Yes, 100% agree.
Yeah. So. And he wasn't I guess you could consider the 12th pick a mid first round pick. It's a
yeah.
But
maybe that's where Dallas picks this year,
Here's the thing. Even if as long as, and by the way, you devalue the future picks, right? So the 2027 first round pick is worth less than the 2026 first round pick.
Good point.
And teams devalue that by almost a round. So in a lot of ways, you could look at it as a first and second round pick, as far as right now value goes going into the next.
Yeah. For what he's worth.
So essentially,
Kenny Clark does have some value.
Right. And Kenny Clark's a fine player.
Yeah.
Essentially, if the Packers make the playoffs, you can't even trade those 2 first round picks to get up to pick 12.
I hadn't thought about that angle. Okay.
And
chances are they're going to make the playoffs.
Right. Is a team that's picking 12th in the next draft going to trade back to pick 28 this year? And then the Packers next year's first? Are they going to see that as like, oh, we have to make that deal? Maybe you could get up there. But the trade chart tells you that might be a difficult move. Mm-hmm. So they got to pick. Those combined picks are less valuable, or maybe as valuable, and potentially they could become more valuable. But as we would project things out, maybe if you're at the most valuable that those 2 picks could be, as you would project how good the Packers are going to be in the next 2 years, those would be maybe as good as the pick that you used to draft Micah Parsons in the first place.
I'm going to take a quick side turn, but it's along these lines because we've talked about it a bunch, and we brought it up on Locked On NFL today. The Chargers folks were like, we should have been the team that got this, and you and I brought up like the Patriots, and I can't believe that Green Bay is the only team interested. It's not the best team in the league to do the deal with. I mean, you'd much rather send them to the AFC. You'd much rather send to a team that's not close to guaranteed the playoffs. I'm sure you could find a comparable Kenny Clark player from a lot of teams, for now. So it wasn't the ideal team at all.
No, and that's why the timing was so bad. And that's the last part that I want to crush the Dallas Cowboys for, and maybe even the biggest part of crushing the Dallas Cowboys for, because of when they did the deal. And clearly there was a part of this that was Micah Parsons chose the Packers because he had to sign a new deal with that team.
Yes, it's high. Right. Yeah,
deal with whatever these other franchises were. Maybe not. Probably not. I think that's
maybe the Browns called and he's like, no.
That has to be a big part of this, which also lowers the value that you're going to get in return because you're not shopping him to every team in the league like you might in the offseason. You are only talking with one team, and they're like, well, we'll give you Kenny Clark and 2 firsts. And so you can't trade him because he's not going to sign a deal anywhere else. So that's the only offer you can consider if you're the Cowboys here, which is why.
But you can still say no.
Right. Which is why it blows my mind that Jerry Jones, if you really don't want to be bullied, like you're projecting, what you say is, no, thank you. I'll see Micah Parsons at practice tomorrow.
Yeah,
And
he's under contract, and we'll handle it in-house. Right.
He's under contract. If he's not suited up for the next game, guess what? If money's important, he's going to lose game checks, right?
Or I'll call his agent and make a new offer or restructure things. You know, right.
Offers can change, and that leverage was only going to help the Cowboys going forward, because guess what? They still don't have Micah Parsons right now, and they still have draft picks that they can't use until April.
Yeah. All you're getting to help you now is Clark.
So clearly, the better route for them is to play hardball with Micah Parsons and say, show up and play. We'll talk contract next offseason. Or we can tag and trade you then, when we can shop you to the entire league and we can have a bidding war before teams have spent all their money before. And when you know what those draft picks are going to be that teams have earned, so you can say, oh, now we can get the 9th pick in this draft plus that team's future first round pick, which would clearly be a better return. And he would have that value next offseason, assuredly, unless he broke his leg. And so
if he dogs it, he's going to hurt his earning power. Like, he should give you everything.
He'd be playing for a contract. How about a motivated playing for a contract Micah Parsons in the last year of his deal, right?
And you might go to the playoffs and be good this year.
And maybe everyone's kumbaya, and then you sign him and you still give him the $47 million before any other edge rusher signed next offseason, and it's the same contract anyway. So completely poorly played and botched by the Dallas Cowboys, in my opinion, even if you decided that you were going to let him go.
100%.
Yeah.
And one on-field note I just wanted to make, though, like, they have two defensive ends that were drafted in the second round, Ozurico, whose name I kill, and Sam Williams, both who I think are really, really talented. And they also have Marshawn Nealon. You know, so I was excited about that trio being, one of them only has to be the Robin, the Batman. Right. There's no Batman in that trio, but I mean, they might sell themselves. We're okay at that position with those 3 second-round picks if we can get better in the middle. Again, I'm squinting to try to see this through the Joneses' eyes. You know what I mean? I don't believe that.
I think in a closed circuit, and this happens a lot, I think in sports, is you can get a small amount of people in one office and talk yourself into a lot of things. And that might be that.
That's not a bad way of putting it, right?
The Green Bay Packers, are they the favorites in the NFC? How much does this swing the power balance in the NFC with Micah Parsons in Green Bay next? This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is already heating up, and college football isn't far behind. Whether you've got your eye on big-name quarterbacks or breakout running backs, PrizePicks makes it easy to get in the game. How about Dak Prescott? His stock went up for fantasy this year. You thought he was going to chuck it a little bit already. How about now with the defense taking a hit? Dak Prescott, max discount in week 1, Thursday, September 4th, versus the Philadelphia Eagles to kick off the NFL season. How about only a half of a passing yard is all you need at PrizePicks? So PrizePicks puts their members first. Withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks, run your game. Talk to me about the Green Bay Packers, Matt. How good are the Green Bay Packers? Did this really? Actually, I'm going to paraphrase you. I believe a couple of weeks ago, you said something to the effect, I really like the Packers roster. They're pretty good top to bottom, but they're missing that closer, that game changer. Yeah. You get in the playoff game. Who's that guy that can make the big play to close out?
A lot of good, but no great.
Yeah. Well, they got great. They got great today.
They got great. I mean, I've said that often about the Bills and Packers, Josh Allen aside, obviously, and maybe even Love aside. And the Bills a couple years ago tried a sort of similar move with Von Miller. You know, like, we need a closer. How do we go to Kansas City with a lead and put Mahomes on his back? You know, Parsons is that times 10 because of his age and what you gave up and things like that. But I think it's huge, especially come playoff time. You know, like, when you got to do battle in Philly at the NFC Championship game, or if you're in the Bills case, you're battling the Ravens or Chiefs or somebody like that. Do I have one of the best players on the field when my quarterbacks are actually canceled out, you know, like in Buffalo, for example. And I love the Packers build, and I think they have a lot of good and a great infrastructure, and I like the way they draft and a lot of first-round picks on defense, but no one scares the heck out of you. And I talked about the potential Robins in Dallas. Rashawn Gary's your number 2 edge pass rusher now. I mean, that guy was a 5-star recruit, top recruit in the country, a year removed from a monster season. He's going to get singled all the time. I think they're loaded, and I think we've built up enough equity with our fan base, our listeners, to know that I'm not one to lie to them. I'll tell them when I'm wrong. Brock Purdy's better than Kenny Pickett, guys. I regret that, you know. But if we had done predictions, which I think we probably will next week, I was going to then pick the Packers to win the North. Now, I might pick them to win the Super Bowl or go, but I was picking to win the division without this move. Now I'm easily doing it.
The Lions got worse and the Packers got better. And the Packers were already an 11-win team with their quarterback getting injured and missing games last year.
Right. I really think they're trending the right direction, and their quarterback's really trending the right direction. Like we talked about Sando tiers, the guy I expect maybe to jump the most is Love and Lawrence.
Got Golden, the first-round wide receiver, to go on offense. Could he become a star as well and give you another great piece on offense, or is he just another good piece that they already have a lot of on offense?
I love Tucker Kraft. Their O-line's always good. Josh Jacobs is a workhorse, defensive first-round picks everywhere.
I think if you look at the roster, one of the deficiencies might be in the defensive secondary. You know what helps the defensive secondary? A pass
rusher helps.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And here's the other thing. So they could probably still trade, like they could maybe they're meeting right now and reconvening, like, okay, look, we gave up assets to get this one big piece. There's been teams calling us about wide receivers and stuff. Maybe we can trade one of those wide receivers now, get another draft pick back and help us out.
Trust me, I've pivoted that to a Steelers perspective.
Right,
so now they're trying to recap picks, go get Romeo Doubs for a 4th or whatever. I mean, they got a guy or two they could probably move. And,
Matt's over here like, cool, this is awesome. Now we can get the quarterback from the Packers. Or the Cowboys.
Dak throwing the Doubs. Right.
There you go.
You got to jump on the opportunities, man.
And what about like Lucas Van Ness? Would he be somebody that you could flip, or would they think about?
I thought he would go to the deal.
Would they think about trading Gary?
Maybe he's making money,
right? Would that
if
be
like Van Ness? Van Ness hasn't showed me much. If you really like Van Ness, but right.
And one thing, they got Carl Brooks in the middle. I really like him, young defensive tackle, and the fact that they traded Kenny Clark, who's a good player, but I don't think he's a huge factor in this trade. Maybe they want to have
his contract expiring after the year.
But maybe they also, Lucas Van Ness kind of a big power end. Maybe they're going to move him inside a little bit more. And so then you have, Gary and Parsons on the inside. And then you got, Carl Brooks. You could move Van Ness around and utilize his explosive ability, maybe from the interior a little bit more and move him around. He's kind of like that 5 technique sort of frame and skill set. So there's a lot of ways that they could do this on defense. I mean, it's a huge swing. People are thinking I'm overdoing it. I just, players like Micah Parsons shouldn't be available and are rarely ever available. And I think he's a better player than Khalil Mack was when Mack was traded. I think the better comparison. Now, here's the thing is Jordan Love Brett Favre? Because you go back to the Reggie White trade. And by the way, Reggie White was 30. So he wasn't. Micah Parsons is 26 years old. He's had the most pressures in a 4-year span of any player in the NFL in the last 20 years. Micah Parsons, like that's what he is right now. He's a legitimate difference maker. And I know he was injured a little bit last year, and people look at the sack numbers and like, well, Watt has more sacks over 2 years or whatever. And somebody else, Micah Parsons.
It's indisputable that he is a massive needle mover. Right.
Yeah. And so is this the Reggie White trade? And we've seen the Packers,
he was a free agent though, right?
Not trade. Yeah. So just adding
acquisition. Yes.
Like acquisition, adding a player to the roster.
I tend to think so. Yeah.
Is this Reggie White level? I'm not ready to put Micah Parsons on Reggie White level. I mean, we're talking about all time, but he was a little bit older at the time. And guess what? The Eagles didn't win with him. And that's one of the arguments I see is like, why didn't the Cowboys win a Super Bowl with Micah Parsons if he's such a difference maker? Well, the Eagles didn't win a Super Bowl with Reggie White. Right. And this is interesting that the Packers multiple times have been like, okay, we got a quarterback and maybe even got that quarterback earlier than we needed to. And then what do? We made a move to get a big time defensive player. Reggie White won a Super Bowl. They did it with Charles Woodson, won a Super Bowl. Yeah. And now they've done it again, which is a similar formula with different GMs, different coaches, right? And different quarterbacks. And they bring in a difference-making defensive player. Will that end in a Super Bowl? I'm not ready to go there yet, but I think it is a massive swing and a pretty up for grabs NFC as well, because we talked about 4 quarterbacks early. They're all in the other conference.
And the beauty of it to me, in addition to all these things, this isn't push your chips in for 1 year. Like, you could be the best team in the NFC for the next 3 or 4 years, even without those first round picks.
Right. Foundational build around piece.
Yeah.
A quick blip.
You're not going to be old next year all of a sudden and dumping guys for salary cap reasons and things like that.
How about this? This is my last comp for the trade. I'm going to go all the way back to, it involves the Dallas Cowboys, and it's not the Herschel Walker trade. It's the Charles Haley trade.
Ooh.
49ers to the Dallas Cowboys. And the Cowboys hadn't quite won yet. And in fact, there's a story that gets told that the 49ers actually decided to trade Charles Haley to the Cowboys rather than the Vikings, because at the time they viewed the Vikings as the bigger threat to them in the NFC. And because the Cowboys hadn't won yet.
Yeah, they were still growing.
Yeah. Charles Haley, and that swung the balance of power in the NFC. And more of a stand-up type of a rusher, just a nasty edge guy. And again, maybe a little older than Charles Hayes, or Charles Hayes a little older than Micah Parsons. Like Micah Parsons, 26 years old at that position. It's just, I can't understate how impactful that can possibly be, and that those guys aren't available.
I only say this because they verified it on that show I've been watching on Netflix, but Parsons didn't go into the coach's office and urinate on his desk like Haley did.
And there's circumstances why the 49ers felt forced to trade Charles Haley. He was a maniac, to say the least there. And so,
and I'm being kind, that's my only example. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Maybe Mike. So again, like what was the force factor to trade this kind of a potentially generational talent? And try not to throw the generational thing around, but that's the career arc that Micah Parsons is on.
Yeah. I mean, he's going into the Hall of. I mean, he's a easy Hall of Fame path right now.
We're making our predictions next week. We've been asked who are our Super Bowl picks. Might this trade change our predictions? You'll have to tune in and find out next week. It is kickoff week in the NFL. Everybody have a great holiday weekend, and Matt and I will be back. I want to hear from you as well. What do you guys think? What's your take on this Micah Parsons trade? Hit us up at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL. Drop a comment on YouTube, subscribe while you're there, and talk to you next time right here, Peacock and Williamson.